My name is Peter Flory. I'm Director of Sales and Marketing. I've been with InBetween for 6.5 years. And just a quick reminder, today's session will be recorded. So we hope nobody objects to that. What are we talking about today? Well, I want to give you an overview of our range of solutions in between dynamic database publishing in the year 2021. So I will touch upon topics such as part automated publishing, publishing for teams, as well as high and fully automated publishing. And specifically the automated publishing I want to expand on and present to you a few use cases of automated publishing of datasheets as one example. Since this is something customers talk about a lot and the market is talking about a lot, so this is something we would like to expand on. So I will talk about unattended use cases, on event generation of datasheets, and on-demand generation of datasheets. So let me start. And let me start with part automated print publishing. As you know, part automated print publishing with InBetween is largely done with the InDesign plugin, and that really answers the question whether you can combine creative and automated content in one publication. And we do this with the InDesign plugin, which is obviously integrated in Adobe InDesign. This allows you to combine creative and data-based content in one publication, but it also allows you to use automation to some degree, which I will present to you. So using the InDesign plugin of InBetween, we call it the DTP client, which is available for InDesign. It's also available for Quark Express. And there's actually two principal ways of working with the DTP client. One way is to use the InDesign plugin to manually populate pages with products. So you could start with an empty page. In the InDesign plugin, you find all your products from your PIM system, and you can simply grab a product, drag and drop it onto the page, and the product will be automatically based on whatever you define in your templates. And we'll talk about the templating a little later. And anything that's been positioned on the page via a template from your data is obviously updatable at any later stage. And because we are inside InDesign, you can obviously supplement your products with additional editorial content. So this is very much a manual way of working. You simply add products page per page, and with a 8 or 10 pager, that might be sufficient for you to work. With larger publications, you might want to use the other principal use of DTP client. You could automate your pages automatically. You can, for instance, grab 20 products, you pull them onto the page, and the machine will start producing the pages, and it'll produce as many pages as are needed to accommodate those products according to the layout rules you define in our templating tool. Or you can tell the machine to produce the next 30 pages, and the same thing will happen. Obviously, now you can do your own page planning, you can do your edits. Again, everything that's being placed on the page based on templates is updatable at any stage, and you can use the same process of adding editorial content in any way you like. Now, customers who use this kind of process and who've used the combination of creative and automated content are, for instance, Sender. They do some lovely publications where they have some editorial content, some large images, some general information on products before they turn to the automated content in terms of tables. providing lots of details to the products. The same with Better. And with Bosch Siemens home appliances, we have a similar situation. The publications cover lots of general attributes of, for instance, washing machines before they turn to the hard facts that are being delivered by an automation process from data. The InDesign plugin tightly integrates into InDesign and it provides you with lots of different functions, one or two functions we will see later on, but the centerpiece really is the IB whiteboard, which gives you access to your products. So you find the product categories, the whole product tree, and you can select from there, and you can select alternative templates. Obviously, you can produce products in different layouts on a page, and then you get a list of your products. You grab a product, you drop it onto the page, and anything that's being shown here is done automatically. I've done this here with a very simple product. Drag and drop it onto the page. The product is layouted and positioned automatically on the page. And it's quite easy to understand, looking at this view, how we pull product name, product description, the different attributes, the currency symbol, the price, and the image from your data. And we will use those tags to update the product. We can update, obviously, just the price or just the description, or we can update wholesale, one product or a whole publication. So there's different ways of updating. And you can even move the picture, you can move parts of the layout if you wish so. This doesn't get changed if you update the publication, so there's lots of room for creative work. Using the plugin, you work with automated product layouts, you work with drag and drop in order to build the pages. You can do your pagination, you can do data refresh and correction, and at the same time you have all the InDesign features you want to use. Now, the way we integrate this into your PIM system, it doesn't really matter which PIM system you're using. We will provide you with a connector, and the technology of the connector is not really important, but at the end of the day, it allows our server to connect to your PIM, so we can access all the products, all the assets. We can access all the dimensions you use to describe your product. So you might have product categories, different languages, different currencies, different target markets, and so on. And using that information and using the templates, we can then automate the layout of products, and we can automate the flow of products onto pages. And obviously, you can still use your InDesign to produce output, but if you like to, you can also use the server to produce output. So this is a very simple way of connecting to your data. Now, with using InDesign, obviously requires a lot of training, a lot of knowledge about how InDesign works. And InDesign is not an easy tool to work with. And in your company, there might be quite a lot of people who would like to plan a publication and build a publication without using InDesign. And that's the reason we've developed some very nice tools for working within a team. So if you want to plan publications very simply and you want to build publication very simply, you can do that. If you want to work across departments, planning and building a publication, we will provide you with an online solution that covers everybody who is not working with InDesign. And this online solution, we call it the Publication Wizard, will work in conjunction with our InDesign plugin. So the media designer is part of the whole process and, for instance, can see all the comments and study and so on. Now, the Publication Wizard is obviously an online solution. works in any browser. You can log in, you can select your publication, and then you have the chance to fill a basket with exactly those products from your PIM system you want to produce a publication with. You can fill the basket, but you don't have to do that because once you get to building the publication, you can access the basket, but you can also access all products from your PIM system. So there are some filtering and some search functions. So there's very easy functions to find the exact products you need. Once you select the product, on the right-hand side, you get a little preview. This is obviously going to be configured the way you need it for your publication process. And in the center down here, you get a whole range of different master pages, as we call it. The master pages are basically different layouts with different, so to speak, landing zones for products. So there are yellow landing zones where you can drop a single product, and there are blue landing zones where you can drop multiple products. Basically, they are flow layouts, so they dynamically will produce as many pages as are needed. And you can produce those master pages using our templating tool. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes, so it's a very simple process of producing master pages. So now imagine you're a product manager and you want to produce 10 pages of a brochure. You simply grab one of those master pages, you put it up here, and then you can fill that master page with products by simply dragging and dropping. We have the possibility of creating different sections. So you might want to start with the planning of a publication by having several sections: clothing, outdoor, groceries in these examples. And you can attach different users to different sections. So one user may only work on his or her section. This is perfect for product managers, for instance, or for other marketing colleagues, and they can very easily build a publication here, and they obviously can preview it. So the different product categories are shown with different layouts in the different sections. You can also leave annotations and comments. So within the team, you can communicate on this platform, and you can tell your team, what needs to be done, what is missing. And if you like to, you can use this tool to finish your 10-pager and in fact generate it in any of the formats we support. So you might want to produce a PDF and send it out to your customers or send it out to your partners in any way you like. We find out how you can distribute electronic publications later on. But if you're working on a more complex publication, what you can also do, you can change the status of a page to available for finishing. And with the comments and annotations, now you can open that page in InDesign using the InDesign plugin, so the media designer can actually see what comments have been left for him or her to be working on. So within the annotation manager, which is part of the InDesign plugin, you can see exactly what's happening on that page, and you can do whatever needs to be done to finish that page. Obviously, you can do this for more than one page. You can do it for the whole publication. This is just to show you how granular you can work here. So Publication Wizard is great for publishing for teams. You can produce your publications in the Publication Wizard online, very simple, and you can finish it in InDesign, or you simply use Publication Wizard to generate to the format you need. So Publication Wizard is great. It allows you to distribute your publication process any way you like. You can integrate any internal role included, maybe just for approval. So product management, purchasing department can work with you, and you can even integrate external media agencies. Again, the way we integrate Publication Wizard is extremely simple. You simply use the connector. Our server connects to the PIM system via this connector, and Publication Wizard connects to our server, and this way has access to all the product assets and dimensions. And while you can produce all the formats from this user interface, the generation is actually done on the server. So we can produce a lot of PDF variants and a lot of other file formats directly with our InBetween server. Obviously, if you want to use print quality PDFs, we might have to integrate InDesign Server additionally. Now, while this solution is great for working inside one publication, you might want to find out what's happening with all of your publications. This is the reason why we are planning and building currently the so-called Publication Planner. This is an extension of Publication Wizard, which will give you an overview of all of your publishing processes. It allows you to define individual publication workflows. It allows you to plan the structure of publications in a much easier way, and it also allows you to monitor the status of publications. The way this will look like, it's a very simple overview of your publication processes. So each publication obviously has a title, a number of pages, it has a due date, a status, a percentage of completeness, and you can see which department is primarily working on that publication at the moment and which department is, so to speak, next in line to continue with the work. There's also a responsible person for the whole publication, and obviously you can sort this any way you like to see what's happening here. And you can also use this view to add new publications and add sections to publications. This vertical hierarchy is much easier to work with than if you do this in Publication Wizard in a horizontal way, because if you have lots of pages, you tend to lose oversight of what's happening. So here you can simply add your sections, and again, each section has a name, a number of pages, a due date, and so on. It might even have a responsible person, and different sections might be at different departments working on them at the moment. And Publication Planner gives you a very simple overview of doing that right down to page level, so you can exactly see what's happening in here. What you also get is a monitoring view, which very quickly allows you to see how many publications are in a planning stage or in a progress stage and so on, or which department is working on what type of publications, and whatever you click on here will be shown down here in the list. Okay, so far we've seen working with InBetween with the InDesign plugin only, and we've seen working with the Publication Wizard, a very simple online tool for planning and building publications in conjunction with the InDesign plugin, but both approaches obviously still mean you have quite a bit of manual work. And that's the reason why we will talk about automation in a minute. Before we do that, because I see we have a little bit of time, I would like to show you Publication Wizard live. And I'm using one of our partner PIM systems, Akinio, and this is not really a session to sell Akinio to you. This is just one example of PIM systems that would work with Publication Wizard. But the Akinio PIM is a very modern system. It gives you access to all of your products, all of your entities, assets, and so on. And we can integrate InBetween very simply into the user interface. Obviously, I have to log in here. We can provide a single logon. I can select a publication here. And let's see what we get here. So just that you've seen it. Here are our products. I select one product, I get a preview. Here are our master pages. I simply drag and drop one of those master pages. It gets added to that section, and I can simply drag and drop the products here. And whenever a product is placed, you get a little hook. I don't know what you call it in English. Einen kleinen Haken, we say in German, which shows you, aha, this product has actually already been used on one of the pages. And I think if we have multiple little signs, it means this product has actually been positioned more than one time. And obviously you can select a page and have a little preview. This takes a moment. This is a very slow demo server, and we can save that page, and we can add some annotations and comments. Replace photo, what have you. And obviously you can generate straight from here into any of the formats. So if we choose PDF in Italian language, we can produce that page. In fact, I've done this earlier, but I take this one. As you saw, that was quite quick. So we have the page exactly how I positioned the products on here in Italian language. I'm sorry, the demo products are obviously not quite complete, but that doesn't really matter for showing this solution to you. Okay, let's move on. As I said, this is still with a lot of manual work, and you might ask the question, is more automation possible? And yes, this is a rhetorical question, as the questions I put forward before. Yes, of course, more automation is possible. And in fact, automation is really, really important nowadays in order to do agile marketing. The reason you're using a modern product information management system is to be able to work very quickly with your market, very agile, as we say. And what do we mean by this? Well, you use a product information management system to introduce 10 new products to your system today, have them approved by your manager, and tomorrow they will be in your web shop, so customers can actually buy them. Or they might be in your mobile app or at your point of sale, anything that's considered an electronic channel with your business. So far, this was quite impossible in the print channel, because the print channel always took a lot of manual work before you were able to produce a PDF, a catalog, a brochure, a prospect, a flyer, or what have you. And automation is exactly the way to go in order to reduce the time and reduce the effort it takes to produce, for instance, a flyer introducing those 10 new products from your PIM. And automation, at the end of the day, if you do it properly, could mean you can provide a flyer as quickly as those 10 products are introduced in your web shop, if you wish so. And we will look at how this works. So automated print publishing is really an integral part of InBetween. It's included in InBetween however you use InBetween. So it's integrated in and configured with the InBetween project editor. This is our templating tool. This is our automation tool. I will show this to you in a minute. And based on whatever you define in terms of automation, you can then fully automate the production of PDFs, or you can highly automate the production of InDesign files. And those automation mechanisms are available in all online solutions InBetween. So it doesn't really matter which user interface you're working with, you can always use automation. As I just mentioned, one way of using automation with InBetween is doing fully automated print publishing. This means you press a button and your brochure, your data sheet, or even your catalog is being produced straight to PDF without any DTP finishing, so there is no manual work required in InDesign or Quark Express. And you might even use this automation in an unattended way. I will explain this later, what I mean by unattended, but basically you can use your PIM system to produce publications at a set time, fully automated, without anybody needing to press any button. Even though we are producing straight to PDF here, you can still include editorial parts. However, you need to pre-produce those editorial parts as an InDesign file or as PDF, and then you simply have to tell the automation run where to include those pre-produced editorial parts. Now, you may think that fully automated print publishing is great for instance, for data sheets, spec sheets, price lists, small publications. But maybe when you're thinking about a catalog, maybe 600 or 700 pages in 10 languages, you might think, well, I don't really trust this. I don't really want to lose all control over my production process. I still want to have some form of manual possibilities. So what we've done, we're providing exactly this mechanism of full automation, but in this case we do not produce PDF, but we produce InDesign files. So the mechanism is exactly the same. The way you set it up in the templating tool is exactly the same, but the result is not a PDF, which you cannot edit anymore. It's quite difficult to edit PDFs. So here we produce into InDesign files, and now you have the possibilities to do some finishing in your DTP system, in your InDesign. So you can still do some edits and some finishing any way you like. And customers who do this sort of thing are, for instance, Stowe. They are quite big in the building sector, and they produce 800 to 900 pages catalog in well over 11 languages. And now there is a very important aspect of InBetween that comes to light here. Those 11 catalogs are not produced on a one-to-one basis. So those catalogs don't just look different in terms of the language that's being used, the currency, or the price. We might actually have different product ranges in different countries. So the Spanish catalog of Stowe will contain a lot of the products that are being sold in Germany as well. But other products won't be sold in Spain. They will buy national products in Spain and put them into the Spanish catalog. So the catalogs in different markets will differ not just in language, price, currency, but also in product range. And they might even differ in individual product layouts, because you might have different legal requirements for instance, efficiency labels, energy efficiency labels. So some product layouts might differ from country to country. This concept of dynamically producing publications is a concept you can use throughout InBetween with any user interface you're using. And obviously, it's really, really helpful if you produce large-scale catalogs in different languages for different markets. That's where dynamic generation of publication is really important. Now, SLV is a very good example. They produce up to 1,000 pages in 5 or 6 European languages. And you might not believe this, but they in fact produce the whole catalog fully automated from their PIM system. So there is no TTP finishing, there is no InDesign involved. They produce this catalog in one go. And let me just call up the current version of the catalog, the 2021 version. So this is what it looks like. Let me just switch to two-page view. They are producing this whole catalog straight from their data into PDF. And obviously, there are some pages where you can quite easily understand how this automation is done, because this is highly structured and the layouts repeat. But in fact, if you look further into the catalog, and you will find this catalog on their website, the different layouts actually start to vary quite a lot. So I think this is quite some feat of doing fully automated production of a catalog. In this case, it's 902 pages straight from data. Okay, Kasia produces with different automation degrees for different publication types with InBetween, as does Steel, another well-known brand. And here we have the example from Bosch Siemens Home Appliances, where I wasn't quite telling the truth early on, simply because this publication looks very nice in combining editorial and automated content, but in fact Bosch Siemens produces for 4 brands in well over 50 markets, so they will have to do this fully automated. So there is no DTP finishing involved in producing those kinds of publications. Now, the templating tool and the tool for defining your automation is the project editor, which I have mentioned before. This is a highly visual tool. It's completely separate from InDesign. This is our own software. And this really allows you to look into your data. It allows you to build your templates. You can even import existing InDesign files, and it'll grab all the different styles and turn them into templates, which you still have to connect to your data, obviously. This is where you produce your master pages. This is where you manage your publications, and you can produce preview versions of your publications to have a quick look what the page will look like, and you can obviously generate the final version of your publications, for instance, in print quality PDF, or in InDesign, or in any other of the other formats we support. So the project editor essentially is a visual workbench for publication automation. It does everything around templates. It does everything around automation schedules. It delivers maximum functionality. It allows you to do anything in styles, templates, layouts, tabling. There's a fully fledged table editor integrated, and it does all that without any scripting compared to other companies who deliver tools. This is really the one-stop solution for doing templating and automation, all in the user interface. Again, we can integrate project editor very nicely with your PIM system with the known setup. Now let me talk about automation of data sheets, because automation of data sheets is one area where customers can very easily and very quickly leverage InBetween solutions to save a lot of time and to make sure the corporate identity, the corporate design is used across all the publications. So there are a lot of benefits of using automation of data sheets. Now, there are several different approaches for automating data sheets. On one hand, we can pre-produce data sheets by using unattended production of data sheets. And we can use a similar mechanism to produce data sheets exactly at the moment where something happens in your PIM systems. So we can hook into an event in the PIM system, and we can produce data sheets on demand from a web page, and we can produce data sheets on demand from a portal. I would like to explain those use cases with a little bit more details. So whenever you have the problem of keeping your data sheets up to date, we can provide you with a solution. So you might have a web shop, a website, and you might have 10,000s of data sheets that need to be up to date at any time because you want to use them in the web. They need to be ready to use, and you need to pre-produce them regularly to make sure they're always up to date. So how do you get to a store of ready-made data sheets from your PIM? How can you do that? And one way of doing this is providing an unattended automation service. Basically what this does, at night it collects all the new products or all those products that have any data changed during the day. Basically all the products we know need to update or create their data sheet. And this process will send the data of one of those products to our web service. InBetween server will produce the data sheet or will update the data sheet. It'll be sent back to the PIM system where it'll be stored with the product, so it's available in all electronic channels. So this is a process which can be initiated on the product information management system side. It allows you to mass produce your data sheets whenever they need to be updated. The data sheets can be stored in the PIM. Obviously, we can store them somewhere else. And this allows you to make sure that your data sheets are always up to date wherever you use them. Now, as you can see, there is no manual work involved. There is not even a button you need to press to initiate this process. This process is done unattended automatically in the background. And we can use the same process to make sure that data sheets are up to date whenever a particular event takes place in the PIM. So what we can also do, let's say you define a new product in your PIM system, and you might have an approval step within the PIM system. So your manager might have to press a button to approve that product. We can then integrate the production of the data sheet into that approval step. So once the product is approved, the corresponding data sheet gets produced exactly at that moment and gets stored in the PIM system. So this is exactly the same thing as before. However, we are using an event in your product information management system to produce that data sheet. Okay, now we've talked about two methods where you can pre-produce data sheets so that they're always up to date. And a lot of customers do it this way, and a lot of customers want to do it this way. Then again, there are a lot of customers who are fed up with pre-producing data sheets on an ongoing basis because they might have to produce hundreds of thousands of data sheets every day, and only 1% of them are actually being used. So they use a lot of processing time for nothing, basically. In this case, if you don't want to pre-produce your data sheets, so if you don't have a store where all your data sheets need to be updated on a constant basis, but you still have an existing user experience where a user logs onto or opens a product page and might have a download button, and the current user experience means once I press download, I can request one of those pre-produced data sheets to be downloaded. If you don't want to do it this way, we can hook into exactly that user experience. We can hook into that download button to generate the PDF exactly at the moment when it's needed. So this event, clicking on the download button, is being used to produce the datasheet that's being requested from this user from this web page, from your PIM with fresh data, obviously, and it's sent back to the user to be downloaded. This is in fact something that happens very quickly. And this is also, we have also a caching mechanism. So if the same user wants to produce the same data sheet again and again, maybe just to annoy you, the second time he requests this data sheet, it'll actually be pulled from the cache without talking to your PIM system. So this is a very simple way of producing data sheets on demand, exactly the very moment when you need them. And the way we produce this data sheet, we know where this download button comes from. So we know this is this product in that language, and we can trigger the server to pull the right data to produce this data sheet. Now, obviously, if we're using parameters of a web page to produce a data sheet, maybe we can do this even a little better and produce individualized data sheets. So imagine you have a subsidiary in Brazil, and the Brazilian CEO wants a particular publication tailored to his need. So we can provide you with a portal. The Brazilian CEO has to log onto this portal, and the very moment he logs onto this, we know who we're talking to. So we know it's the CEO of the Brazilian subsidiary, so we need to set the language to Portuguese. We need to set the currency to real, and we probably know his product range, so we can configure all the products in the background he needs to have, and we know which publications he's actually allowed to access. So we simply display the publication he wants. He clicks on one of those publications, presses on generate, and that publication will be produced in Portuguese, in real, reflecting his product range, and it's exactly how he needs it. Now, because it's the CEO of Brazil, he might have the additional option to select an output format. So he might even be able to select an InDesign package, which gives him the InDesign file of that publication, plus all the typefaces, plus all the images. So he might even be able to load this publication into his own InDesign, add a few things for his customers, and he might even be able to have it printed in Brazil. So this is a wonderful solution to provide partners, customers, and so on with individual publications. So let me just quickly show you how those two examples look like in real life, so to speak. So this is the sample where I have logged on to what we call publisher. This is basically the portal, and for some reason I can select the language. So I might be in Switzerland, where I need to identify whether it's French, German, or whatever, and obviously I have the possibility to select the file type. I'm not going to produce an InDesign package now, simply because it might take a moment. So let's just generate this publication quickly as PDF. And as you can see, in a moment, the publication should look exactly how I expected. So this is a publication in English, in pound, and so on. So I log out of this and log in again as a different person. and I get the same interface, but no selection of file format, and I get the same publications. And Marie should be of a different language now, hopefully. Oh no, this is English US, so probably did select the right example, but it doesn't matter. This publication should actually look slightly different. Yes, it's in dollar, so it's English, but the currency has changed to dollar. So this is the very simple example of using the portal approach, where we can set parameters according to login and produce publications accordingly. The web shop example I want to show you as well. So let's say this is our web shop. I select a product, and then I can download a PDF straight from here. And if we go back to this download button, I don't know if you can see, there's the URL at the bottom. So it actually calls InBetween with a certain set of parameters, setting, for instance, the language. And if we look into that publication, it is in English and dollar. And let's say this would be the German product page, and I want the German PDF. It does the same thing. However, now the whole thing is being produced in German and Euro. So this is just very quickly to show you how those on-demand solutions work from a simple web page without changing the user, the current user experience, and how to use individualized production of data sheets from a portal. So I quickly want to summarize so far. With InBetween, we pull data from product information management systems in most projects. And we work with lots of different partners. So we might have projects with Akinio, projects with ContentServe, with MyView, Prodexa, Perfion, and so on. There's a whole range of PIM systems we are working with. But a lot of times we need to connect to additional systems to pull in additional content. For instance, whenever you want to add price data to your publications, typically price data are not being managed in your PIM system, they are being managed in your ERP. So we might have to connect to your ERP system. For in some situations, we might have to connect to your MumDum system to pull image data, and so on. We might even connect to a CRM system to pull some individual information for a particular customer. So we can connect to multiple data sources, and once we've prepared a publication in terms of templates and in terms of automation, we can use exactly the same basis to produce InDesign files, highly automated, which some customers use for catalogs, price lists, and so on. We can use the same basis to work with the InDesign plugin and with all the features you have in InDesign. We can use the same basis to fully automate the production of PDF, even print quality PDF, as well as a whole number of additional formats, which we talked to you. We're happy to talk to you about if you're interested in any of those formats. So this is the end of today's session, and we have a few minutes